We rise to reclaim our dignity. We rise to honor our legends and our leaders. We rise to renew the hope of our people. We rise to lay hold of justice and prosperity. We rise in strength and solidarity. We rise for our children yet to be born. We rise to the glory of our Lord. We rise with a predestined victory. We rise for a better day. We shall not be erased. We rise up.
Shalom and welcome to the 2026 Virtual Black History Podcast, Empowered to Rise, a race not happening, dismissed, impossible. We have very special guests with us in this podcast, David and Katherine King, who's going to help us level up with AI technology. We're so glad you're here, and we hope that you've got your learning hat on because you're going to be illuminated. You're going to be educated, you're going to be equipped, and you're going to be ready to level up. So thank you for joining us. I'm Charlene Glover. I'm the CEO and the host of 2026 Black History Podcast, Rise Up. We're glad you're here. And this particular podcast is going to focus on technology, the evolution of AI. Listen to this in Proverbs 24. Any enterprise is built by wise planning, becomes strong through common sense, and profits wonderfully by keeping abreast of the facts. Let me read that one more time. This is actually taken out of the Today's Living Bible translation. Any enterprise is built by wise planning, becomes strong through common sense, and profits wonderfully by keeping abreast of the facts. Now, we're going to not only keep abreast of the facts, we're going to learn how to utilize technology in a way that we can stay current in every season. We can stay current with the evolution of AI and all of the developments beyond that. But before we get into this intense and meaningful conversation, let me just say to you, we've spent the last month, this is the 5th week of our 2026 Black History podcast. And more than ever, we need to protect our history, and we need to celebrate our legacy, and we need to continue to build forward for our legacy. This year's podcast has aimed to speak to this moment with prophetic insight, with moral clarity and bold resistance, as a proclamation to reject erasure, to reclaim truth, and to call for a collective rise to action. This year, 2026, marks the 100th anniversary of Black history. The recognition of Black history began in 1926, originally established as the Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson as the father of Black history. Black history is more than just remembering the past and the struggles of the past. It's a time of honoring our faith, our legends, and our legacy. It's a time of reflection and celebration, reconnecting, refueling, and building forward. With this in mind, this podcast, Black History Podcast, has been designed to equip, to empower, to educate you to rise up and advance. And listen, despite the policies aimed at rolling back civil rights protections, restricting voting access, and diminishing opportunities in education, civic life, economic mobility, and environmental justice, and even the attempts to whitewash Black history, the rise of artificial intelligence is creating a new gateway to level the playing field, to equip you and me to level up. So, no matter where you find yourself at in life, no matter how much you've been restricted from previous opportunities, just know this: we are in a different day. With David and Katherine King's insight, they're teaching and equipping us through this podcast. You're going to leave feeling not only inspired, but you're going to be ready to venture into new opportunities. So the doors are opening. We don't want to leave you behind. We want to educate you and inspire you. And with this conversation with David and Katherine King, who are, listen to this, they are leaders at the forefront of digital innovation. They are owners of Numa Consulting LLC, and they're our special guests. David and Katherine are the owners of Numa Consulting, a Virginia-based government contracting firm at the forefront of digital transformation and strategic advisory for the United States government. David, a native of Atlanta, Georgia, graduated from Albany State University with a degree in computer science. His career is defined by engineering excellence across the corporate, defense, and nonprofit sectors. David has led the development and global deployment of numerous mission-critical software systems listen to this, they daily serve thousands of soldiers, intelligence professionals, and over 500 of our nation's senior-most defense and diplomatic officials. Now, let me introduce Katherine King. If you'll bring them to the stage, please. Katherine is a native of Bogota, Colombia, graduated from George Mason University with a degree in political science. She brings an understanding of the American legislative process with a career spanning the congressional, nonprofit, and legal sectors. Her tenure is in the U.S. Congress included serving as a legislative assistant to former Congressman Tony Cardenas, where she successfully passed legislation targeting human trafficking. Through Numa Consulting, the Kings prove daily that technical excellence starts with a clear mission, operating under the conviction that inspired lives produce inspired solutions. Would you join me in welcoming our special guests, David and Katherine King, the founders and executive leaders of Numa Consulting? And while you're there, I want you to stay in the chat because you're going to have opportunity to give us feedback and to ask questions. So David, Katherine, welcome. Thank you for being our special guest with the 2026 Black History audience and to present to us AI, artificial intelligence, as experts in the technology field.
Thank you so much. We are so happy to be here. We've been following along the past few weeks, and wow, what an introduction. We are just so happy to be here. Thank you for having us, Pastor Glover. We're looking forward to talking about AI. It's one of my favorite subjects, and we do believe that this is a transitional time and an impactful time. We're very happy to talk about this and help kind of guide and inform people.
Awesome. Thank you. Katherine, would you please greet our guest?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. We can see your comments, so looking forward to just hearing some of your feedback or questions throughout this live session. And thank you, Pastor Glover, for having us. We're excited to share, and we hope that you'll gain a lot of insight and tips through this conversation.
Yeah.
Well, with the two of you being at the forefront of digital technology, I know we're going to be taken by storm. And thank you, because as we've discussed, you're going to be practical and relevant so that people can go away not feeling informed and overwhelmed, but feeling informed and inspired and ready to innovate. So thank you. I appreciate that. Well, David, before we get started, I'd like for you to just tell our audience about your name, Numa. I think that what we name things and how we identify ourselves is important. So talk a little bit about the name of your business, and then we'll segue to another fun fact.
Sure. As you mentioned in our introduction, that last line there, we really have the conviction that inspired lives produce inspired solutions. And that really produced, out of that name Numa came that tagline. And I know we have some biblical scholars here, and if you're not a biblical scholar, Numa is the Greek word for spirit or for life. And the inspiration, what inspires us, who inspires us, and just my upbringing with my parents, my upbringing in Trumpet of God ministries and training centers, I have been inspired by leaders who've lived their faith. I've been inspired by teaching under Trumpet of God training and ministries, and we want to take that and inspire those who work with us. We have many employees that work all over the government, and we bring that inspiration, not just a solution, but an inspired solution. And it really has an impact on our clients. They love us. They call us all the time. They're always filled with joy. So we want to bring that kingdom. You know, Jesus came with an inspired message and he produced change. And we are agents in the earth for kingdom advancement. And so that's where that name came from. And we really want to espouse that in those who work with us in Numa.
And you do that because you live that, right? I'm proud of you. Would you just take a moment and just encourage perhaps the young person who's toiling with technology and emerging in the corporate sector and their faith, and just talk a little bit briefly about how your foundation has grounded you as a technology professional?
Yes, Pastor Glover, I think that really has started in the home, again, through my parents and their upbringing, and then also the reinforcement of faith in Jesus, faith in Christ, and an understanding of the kingdom of God. As we learned in Trumpet, it's not just about religion. It's not just about doing the right things. It's really about being in relationship and being able to take that to affect change. And that doesn't mean we have to be weird. We do things by principles, right? We live an inspired life. We understand that our integrity, our character, and if you're around Trumpet, your credit score matters to how we do things in our daily lives. So that was reinforced in my life through my family. That was reinforced in my life through my faith family, through Trumpet. That was also reinforced in my life through my wife and her mother, who is entrepreneurial, international entrepreneurial. So every stage of my life, you know, that has been reinforced, and the accountability structures have been there as well to ensure that we live and produce according to what we've been taught.
Well, good. Well, Katherine, we haven't left you out, so be ready to chime in. Let's get into the conversation. And why don't we start with you giving us a layman's term definition for AI so we can bring everybody together in this conversation?
Sure. If our production can, we have a little slide here so that people can follow along. Those of you know, I am a teacher. I love to teach. We won't teach at you, but we do want you to follow along. So very simply, what is AI? Just a simple definition. AI, artificial intelligence, is technology that allows computers to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. Things like recognizing images, understanding language, and making decisions. Typically, when we think of a computer, we think of us using a computer. We think of, you know, computers presenting us information. AI is an entirely new field of study that allows this technology to do more human-like things. And I like to say human-like because it is artificial intelligence. Now, here are some examples of AI. It's been around us all along. Every day AI is working kind of on our behalf. Things like your email and telephone spam blockers. If we did not have that, our inboxes would be overrun. Our cell phones would be overrun.
I love this feature and I use it all the time.
Yes. As a matter of fact, Katherine uses it so well that sometimes I am trying to call her from a government facility and it's blocking me out.
Sorry.
That's a true story. YouTube and Netflix recommendations, those who are consuming content, AI learns, again, from patterns, recognizing patterns of behavior so that it can recommend. Highly specialized algorithms for social media, for good or for bad, right? Really recommending things. And here's another good one. Many people don't know this, but fraud detection. You know, when you go swipe your credit card somewhere where the bank says, you know, you're not typically there. You're not typically doing this. That is AI recognizing patterns to help prevent things like fraud. So in simple terms, AI is just computers doing human-like things.
Excellent, excellent. Well, why don't we talk about the evolution of AI? Because most people probably didn't recognize how much AI has been used for email, spam blocking, and content such as Netflix and YouTube. But now people are understanding it to be a powerful tool to level up in education, level up in health, to level up in anything you're doing almost. Definitely as for content creators and innovators. So talk a little bit about perhaps the difference in generative AI and agentic AI.
Sure, sure. So before we go into generative AI, I think it's important to know how did we get to where we are with AI today? Again, we talked about this being about a technology. Well, technology is by computer scientists. I graduated with a degree in computer science. But the one thing I find fascinating about AI is that humans have always tried to be like God, to create, to do things, and that's in our nature. So actually, AI was actually inspired by how the human brain works. Scientists studied the human brain, how your neurons work to form memories and things in your brain. And that's what underpins this technology. And they have been doing this for many, 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 many years. So this technology is not underpinned by some random theory. It's actually underpinned by the creator who made our brains to function and use information. I don't think many people understand and know that's kind of the impetus behind AI. So one of the things that's also important to know, and then Catherine will get into a couple of stories, is that this AI, you'll hear this term called LLMs. They're large language models, and they are actually trained on all human knowledge. That when we say all, they have gathered all human knowledge, literature, books, the internet, so that the AI can understand what's called the semantics of language. Now, I want to say this at the very end because a lot of people don't know this. When we start, we'll give a demonstration of AI, and it feels a little magical. It feels a little, awe-inspiring. But at the end of the day, do you know what AI really is? It's a very, very, very fancy and sophisticated pattern recognizer that just takes the probability of what the next word is and just spits that out. And most people don't understand that. That's why it takes a lot of data for AI to associate a cat with an animal or the Brooklyn Bridge with a bridge. So that's kind of how we got here and the underpinning of AI technology. But the key takeaway here is to understand that AI is not conscious. AI is not a human. It is a synthetic form of replicating how we learn and think.
So basically, AI takes the way humans think and operate and our patterns and our interests, and it's massive in that it can consolidate all that data and then regurgitate it where we would spend a lifetime trying to pull all that, like the Britannica Encyclopedia or something, right? So whatever we're doing, saying, music, eating, talking about, AI is collecting all of that and then deciphering it and then following how we think, move, and act and presenting to us opportunities to gain knowledge or to utilize information. Would you say?
Exactly. And Pastor Glover, I'd like to read this quote
Sure.
that I came up with because I think about this a lot.
I'll quote you and give you credit the first time. Please go ahead.
I would like this. This to me, this summarizes AI. Really, I would like to state this. The internet defined generations by democratizing information. So do you remember, some of our guests here may remember when the internet first came about. It brought information directly to you. You no longer had to use the phone. When I grew up, you had to use a phone book. The internet brought information to you in business. Now, what is AI? AI will define the next generation by personalizing information to you and then acting on your behalf. That is the revolution that we're in the world. That's why businesses are pouring billions, hundreds of billions of dollars here, because this is information personalized. We're not just bringing information to you. That information is being personalized to you. And I'm gonna have Katherine tell a story. Our very first time using AI was several years ago when it wasn't very big. And I wanted her to tell this story so we can see how AI can be personalized to us in our everyday lifestyle. And it's a simple example, but I think you'll find it very powerful.
Thank you.
Sure. So we were in Lisbon, Portugal, and we were supposed to do a historic walking tour of the city with a guided physical human. And that person or that guide ended up not showing up. And I was really disappointed because we only had like 3 days there. It was our only time to do this tour. So I turned to David and I'm like, what are we going to do? This is supposed to be like 3 hours. I don't have any plans or really many ideas. And so David's like, oh, don't worry. Let's just see if AI can make a tour for us. And so I was like, what? This is really my first time hearing about AI. You know, we often have conversations about technology, but I hadn't heard that much really yet about it. And I hadn't really used it myself. So he said, no problem. He opened up the AI app and he was like.
So at the time that was ChatGPT.
It was ChatGPT.
So it was the only thing that was available.
And so he typed in, I'm with my wife. We are standing in this plaza in Lisbon, Portugal. Please create a historic walking tour of the city. We don't want to walk more than 5 miles. And by 3 p.m., we have to be at this restaurant in this part of the city. And I was like, wow. And he had, I think, a little feature because we had gone on previous tours where like archaeologists had done the tour. So I think we said, take on the persona of a historian or an archaeologist giving us this tour. And before I knew it, 30 seconds later, it had come up with a plan and an itinerary. And it was exact. It said, look to the northeast corner. You will see our Starbucks. Once you get to the Starbucks, turn left and walk on this plaza like 2 blocks to your first stop where I'll begin kind of this tour and this history of the city. And as we went along, it was at least 2 hours.
I'd probably say about an hour, 30 minutes. Yeah.
Hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours. The tour was incredible. It even made suggestions. You know, if you want to try one of the local cuisines, stop at this coffee shop because the pastry is well known here. And it was just so personal and it made it really a great time. And I was just shocked. I was shocked that it could be so accurate.
We were both shocked, honestly.
Yeah.
So you basically, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was kind of our first experience utilizing it in a moment where we really needed it.
That's awesome. So you had a guided tour by AI.
Yeah.
You had a curated tour. By AI.
To us, how long we wanted to walk,
Yes.
where we needed to end. So if you take the quote, the internet brought us Google. We could have Googled, that would have just brought us general information. It would have not personalized to us and our situation at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need a guide. And the cool thing about it, this was our first time using it. Whenever we got to the stop, we would chat again, and we'll show you examples of this, and say, we are here at the first stop. Can you please tell us about this statue? And it told us about the statue. And I was like, what? So I actually went to Google to make sure that, is this really right? And we were just astounded. And we'll talk about this later about, maybe how to responsibly use AI fears. But one of the ways to move with technology is just to find simple use cases. Most people do not move because they don't just do the simple things.
Absolutely. I think I jumped ahead with Gente, but before what you can perhaps help people understand is that you were prompting it. So it's important to understand how to ask and get the information you want or the instructions that you want from AI. So talk about prompting and how do you develop your prompts so you can make it personal.
Sure. Can we just do a demonstration of
what's better? A picture's worth 1,000 words.
Let's just show, because it's okay to talk in theory, but we like to show this, and then Katherine will walk through, how do we develop prompts? So if we share our screen again here. Wonderful. Thank you.
And so, producer, you can take me off while they're doing that. Thank you.
Okay. So this is a prompt, and when we talk about prompts, what we're really speaking about is how do we utilize AI? AI is generating information for us contextualized to our situations. And so here's just a general prompt. We're going to use this prompt, and it says, create a professional personal development plan focused on leadership skills, strategic planning, brand promotion, and utilizing artificial intelligence over the next 10 months. That's a mouthful. And so we'll see how AI does here. So I'm actually going to take this prompt here. Uh-oh, excuse me. Let me take this prompt here. And I'm going to go and put that in. Hopefully I can copy it.
So while David puts that in case you're wondering how good AI is with different languages, it's excellent. I talk to it seamlessly in Spanish and in English, and it seamlessly just switches as I'm talking with it, as I'm trying to do tasks in different areas. And that's one thing that I absolutely love. It will also correct my tone. I'm a very direct person, and sometimes I could use a little help softening my language. And so especially in professional conversations or email, when you're having maybe a difficult conversation, I have found it very useful for some of those things as well. And those are all prompts. So those are all user-friendly, easier things that everyone can be doing with ChatGPT or Claude or some of the other prompt AI tools that are out there.
I'm sorry, I did not have this. I was not able to copy it, so I'm just going to type it really quickly. Thankfully, I am in technology. So what I'm doing here is this is Claude, and Claude is an actual one AI LLM, as we talked about. And we're just going to give Claude this prompt. I am also going to give this prompt to another AI that you're probably familiar with called ChatGPT. And what I'd like to do is show the differences in using different AI tools in your everyday life. Artificial intelligence over the next 10 months. And as you can see, Claude is, so we just type in our prompt. So our prompt here is, this is what we're looking for. So I'm going to actually just hit enter here, and you'll see AI thinking. And you can see here, it already summarized. I need a 10-month leadership and AI development plan. So while Claude does this, I'm going to actually go over to ChatGPT and paste the exact same thing. Okay, so we've already got a response from ChatGPT, and as you can see, this again, generative AI has generated a plan based on what we've stated. And the more specific you are, the better plan you can get. And Katherine will talk about, maybe ways that we can improve on this prompt and get better results. But let's just take a look. Okay, so this is what ChatGPT said. It says, below is a structured 10-month personal development plan for leadership skills, brand promotion, and artificial intelligence. Let's see if this is any good, Pastor Glover.
I got you.
Let's see. All right, you know what? I'm going to actually make my screen a little bit bigger so people can see.
Great.
So already the AI broke down, it repeated, what are our objectives? Leadership skills, improving communication, influence, and team leadership. I mean, this sounds like a consulting presentation. Strategic planning, we need to have long-term thinking, brand promotion, and then artificial intelligence. So it next will go through, it's telling us here are some key development activities. The thing I do love about this is it's given us actual success metrics. What does success look like across these 4 focus areas? Finally, here's our 10-month development timeline, months 1 and 2. Foundations, we know that foundations are important. A self-assessment and core knowledge. Wow. AI understands that I need to conduct an assessment first so I can level set. So here are some specific actions. Read a book. It outlines some milestones for those first 2 months. Months 3 and 4, let's focus on strategic thinking and leadership. Months 5 and 6, brand development and visibility. So you can see that AI actually took the goals that were stated and broke those down into months. So that is an example of something that would be output from AI just by a specific prompt. And one of the things that's important is that you can continue to further refine your conversation with this particular chat if you find something that you like. Let's see if, so it looks like Claude is still working over here. So while Claude still works, why don't we actually use a different one and we'll try Gemini. Gemini is by Google. So if you have an Android phone, you're probably familiar with them. But did you have anything here, Katherine, to add to this?
Well, how much are these models?
That's a
How does that
great
work?
question.
'Cause, you know,
That is a great question.
I don't have $500 per month per model, so.
That's a great question. So you can use any of these tools for free. So I'll tell you the top 3 is ChatGPT, which I'm sure everyone's heard of. You can just go to chatgpt.com. You can use that for free. Claude, which is my personal favorite because it feels more personalized. I also like the values behind the company. And this is Claude here. It's still working on something. Maybe I need to try a new chat. Or let's see. I think Claude should not be taking that long. And let's try this again. This should be fine. And then we also have Google Gemini. So these are the top 3 leading AI platforms that you can use for simply chatting with AI. They are all free. However, many of them have higher tiers. Most of the tiers are $20 a month. And then some of them have for serious power users like myself who do a lot of development work and coding. They have tiers like that are $100 a month or $200 a month. But typically the free is fine if you're just starting out, and then the $20 a month, we'll talk about how you can level up and what $20 a month can get you and if it's worth it for you to do that. That's a great question. Pastor Glover, do you have any questions?
Did Claude give us anything back yet?
You know, because I use Claude a lot for development tasks, as you can see, you probably can't see this here. Claude likes to be a little bit more agentic. And what Claude is actually doing, it's actually creating a Word document for me.
Okay.
So whereas ChatGPT simply gave me the response here, Claude is a little bit more forward leaning in that it is actually, if you read here, it's saying, hey, I am going to use a skill to create a docx, which is a Word document. And you can see working right here in real time. And in just a moment, it's actually going to show me a Word document with the plan.
Okay, well, we can come back to that. Why don't we talk a little bit about, I guess, the ways we can safely leverage AI and make it powerful. So just kind of the personalization, the information and personalization you mentioned, the ability to bring ideas to life. That's really now a game changer where we don't have to hire consultants or find professionals. We can actually use AI as our personal coach to coach us into things that we want to do and in our creative efforts. Would you say?
Absolutely. And I'll let Katherine talk a little bit to this, but I think it's also important when we talk about personalization, it's important to know what information we're giving. Obviously, personalization is powerful, both in good and potentially bad things. So I'll let Katherine talk about maybe some of the guardrails you need to do when you're using these particular platforms. And then after that, I'll have her maybe just talk a little bit about 4 tips for maybe when you're using AI, how to prompt. So the 2 and 2 kind of go hand in hand.
Great.
Sure. So I would say that you want to remove any personal information, any like full names, phone numbers, emails, addresses, right? Anything that's going to make a person or an individual be like identified. I don't know if you've seen it going around, but people have asked ChatGPT or AI, from what you know about me, please make a caricature.
Right.
And it's incredibly accurate, right? Because we're feeding it so much information all the time about what we do, who we are, even where we live. And so I would just say you want to be mindful with the information that you're giving it, just as you would be talking to a stranger that you don't really know well, right? I'm not going to go tell someone I met for the first time where I live and personal details that they don't need to know. So I would say that you need to be specific with the information that you give it, and just be mindful that, if you're not buying a product, like, you are the product, right? And so a lot of these companies are actually making money off of the data that they gather from you. And that's why the platform is free, just like Facebook. I don't know if any of you out there have seen the Social Network movie, but it does give a very good kind of overview about what it means for your information to be the product. So just keep that in mind. I think just use discernment, right? Holy Spirit can also just, as you're chatting with it, always be asking Holy Spirit, does this make sense? Does it add up? And as long as you're just mindful about that, I think those are the main things.
Also, fact check. We did not show this in this example, but when Katherine talks about the 4 tips for effective prompting, some of the things you can do is say, please cite your sources. Please cite your assumptions. Because sometimes, especially if you start to get into more nuanced things like historical things or nuanced types of things, you want AI to cite its sources. I'll give a great example. The government's changed a lot, and tax laws have changed, and legislation has passed, and I was actually using AI to help me formulate a tax strategy. Now, I don't need to give it my name, but I can give it some general details about my situation. I am a business owner with this type of taxation. And what I found was it gave me an incredible tax strategy, but it did not take into account the recent tax law that was just passed. So, while it feels great, it's also important to check its sources. Now, what did I do, Pastor Glover? I re-prompted.
Yeah.
I took the prompt and I made it more specific. And I said, please include the recent tax law as it applies to my situation. Results were absolutely different and were much more amazing. As a matter of fact, we went to talk to our accountant and said, have you considered this? We haven't considered this. And they said, oh, wow, yes. So we used AI to become more informed about the things that were happening, not to replace our accountant, but to have an informed conversation with her and to say, here's where we are. Here's what we understand about the changes in tax law. How do we position and posture ourselves to be successful in the next year?
Sounds good. And I agree. We don't necessarily need to replace the professionals who have the experience and the skills, but we can be prepared to engage with them so we know how to ask questions and make sure we're getting the information we're after. So that's a great idea. Anything else you want to say about just being utilizing the platforms in a way that's safe and responsible and making sure that the data that you're getting back is relevant to what you're trying to utilize?
No, I think that's it. I mean, most people, like Katherine said, just use judgment, fact check, and read, the results. You will be surprised how many people chat GPT something, throw it on a piece of paper and give it to someone else and didn't even read what was generated. So just use common sense, use good judgment, but also be aware of the great benefits that you can do if you have an effective prompt.
Yeah. And that's the key to get anything. As you said, you went back and you were aware of a new tax law that had been put in place, but ChatGPT or your platform didn't necessarily recall or realize they needed to include that in your information. So being informed on your topic is important as much as you can, and then expanding your knowledge base from the platform or the chat, Claude, Gemini, or whatever. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Good. Well, talk a little bit about Agentic, and then I want you guys to get into a few more prompts and do some demos for them. Yeah. So would you talk about Agentic AI? I jumped way into that because that's been in my mind.
So let's talk about level up. I think we've seen a lot, how to throw something into ChatGPT. Let's talk about how we level up, because just like in the early days of the internet, you used a browser, you couldn't do much. But businesses were created by leveling up, And so in AI, what's coming next? What's on the horizon? What we just saw was a prompt to get us information, but this might be a little disconcerting for people, but it's important. How do we level up? So what is agentic AI? And you'll hear this a lot. If you're in any type of business, you're gonna these AI agents. I am building AI agents for the government, and I have to do all this consulting. So what is it? Agentic AI is an AI that can independently take actions, make decisions, and complete multitask steps on its own. We are going to give a live demonstration of that here shortly. Take a digital assistant that doesn't really just answer your questions, but it can actually do things for you. And we'll give an example of that in Claude. So let me give examples of agentic AI, and I'll give examples of how Katherine and I have used this several times. Performing deep research on an idea or topic. We talked about when I have lots of ideas, and Katherine will tell you that. I actually made it a point every night before I went to bed, I take an idea, I put it over in AI, and I said, please expound on this and give me an executive summary as if you're talking to a CEO. I am a CEO, so please talk to me like a CEO. And it's just awesome. I'll tell Katherine a business idea, and then I'll get up in the morning. It's done all the research for me. It'll even do business analysis, lead me to the right places I need to go. So I try to challenge myself every night, almost every night. I just kind of leave it to do something. Trip planning. Katherine uses it a lot for trip planning. Can you maybe talk about how you've done that?
Well, I think I gave that example already.
Okay, well, we'll see that. Report generation and summarization. Here's another great example. For instance, Katherine and I, we had to prepare some tax documents for our accountant. She was saying, hey, I really need this one document. Katherine's getting on me because I haven't done the document. And I didn't have the time to do it. So the document was, I needed to track all of my business mileage, the mileage that I was going from my home to my client's office. And I needed to do that for the entire year. Well, what I was able to do was scrub out the personally identifiable information from my timesheet, and I gave that to Claude Cowork, which you're going to see in a moment, and it produced a tax-compliant business mileage log within less than 10 minutes. That would have taken me several hours, and we were able to produce that report, tax-compliant, and get that over to our accountant. It was just amazing to be able to kind of offset some of that busy work and get that done very quickly. Also things like administrative tasks and expense reports.
David, is Claude Cowork the tool you would use if you had PDFs, say you wanted to do a reconciliation, and you could just attach your PDFs and say, hey, I want you to reconcile this. This is what I need you to look at. Give me exceptions or things that are abnormal to my normal spending or what have you?
Absolutely. And I'm going to show just very quickly what Claude Cowork looks like. So this is Claude Cowork. And I'm going to show you something here that we're going to leave it running for a little bit with the last few minutes that we have. And I'm going to show you what it's going to do. So Claude Cowork is a desktop application. If you have a Windows or a Mac, and remember, agentic AI is about agents doing things so that they have to do those things in the areas that you work in. We work on computers. Agents can do that safely. So what I've done, Pastor Glover, here is I have a folder on my desktop called Claude Vacation Plan.
Now, you guys do a lot of vacation and traveling.
We do a lot of vacation. We work and we travel. Those are the two things before family, which are short. So I want to show this. This is my desktop. And I have one document in this folder. It's right here on my actual laptop. And what I can say is, I can say this, can you please read at, and it knows the document that's in my folder. It knows it. I click this document, and the document is a national park family vacation research. I would like to take a family vacation to a national park, and I've given all of the instructions of what I'd like you to do in this document. Can you please read this document and produce the reports asked for? So we're going to actually let this run. We'll continue our conversation with AI. And while it does that, so one of the things you'll see here, Pastor Glover, is going to say, hey, I'm working on it. And you'll notice in the level up, it's a little different than what you saw on the website. So it's saying here, let me start by reading this document to gain an understanding. And if you see here, you'll actually see in the top right, it's going to track its own progress. It's going to read the document, break down what it needs to do. It says, now I understand the request. And it's going to give, if you notice here, it's giving you what it's going to do. And if you don't like those tasks, you can go here and say, I would like to recommend a change. I'd like for you to do a certain thing. So while we do that, let's go and look at the Word document that it just read. Can we take just a quick moment? So now when you level up, you're not just making a prompt to paste it into a website.
You have an action plan.
You're working like you'd normally work. You're working like you would give this to someone else. So I said, here's the National Park family vacation. I have a family of 4. There are 2 adults and 2 teenagers. We want to go on a vacation to a U.S. national park. Here's the things that we like to do. Here's how we'd like to stay. We don't do outdoor camping. We don't do glamping. We don't do RVs. So please don't include that into the report. We only want to fly out of Atlanta. We do not need first class. Please do economy class. Be specific. And here's what I need you to do for me. I need you to produce a document that picks 2 national parks and provides a full itinerary for me. And I need you to provide a budget because we need to stay within the budget. Now, if you feel comfortable, you can give it the budget. You can give it all types of information. But this replaces your prompt because you're leveling up. You're learning how to utilize the skills and the technology. So, Pastor Glover, we can kind of shift the conversation. I think there's a couple other things we want to talk about. But as you see here, it's already researched national parks, options flights. It's already building an itinerary for those parks. And shortly, in a moment, we're going to have a full report on our desktop. We don't have to download and copy and paste and do all that. And we can actually have it. We can read through it. And once we get it, we can actually have say, can you please refine this? That budget looks a little expensive. Can you change that? So this is a way that we can level up in using agentic AI, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I think what I take note of is that you didn't compromise yourself with any of your personal information. You have your travel plan without exposing who you are and when you're leaving, so on and so forth. It's a general plan, but it's specific for you.
Correct. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, yeah, let's go to the next point. Go ahead and guide us in that next topic so that we can make the most of our 15 minutes.
So one of the things I think we should talk about, Pastor Glover, is what are some of the societal impacts of AI? We know that the internet had a huge societal impact on the way that we live, the way that we work, the way that we communicate with each other, the way that we do business. And AI will have an impact in our society.
Yes.
And we outlined a couple of things here, some things that you need to watch out for, some things that you need to be aware of. So we'll go through a couple of these. I'll let Katherine talk a little bit about the enhancement of entrepreneurship and some of the ways that we've done that and we plan to use that. And then I'll talk a little bit about some abuse and misrepresentation of information that we need to watch out for with AI.
Sure. So as business owners and as a political science major working in the tech industry, I am not a technical person. So oftentimes when we're looking for software engineers or somebody with a DevOps background, I can sort of spot, okay, they have the key programming languages that we need. They have this much experience. And that's about it. So oftentimes I would be sending David 20 to 30 resumes just for one position and having him look through it. Do you actually want to interview this person? And that was just extremely time consuming. So through leveling up, I was kind of thinking, what can I do to save his time and present better candidates, more qualified candidates? So I used AI to read about 50 different resumes. In this case, it was developers. I did take off all the information, as we mentioned before, that would identify them. And based on that, I had the AI personalize it regarding what we needed for the position. So we were very specific. I need a candidate that's going to be able to do these tasks, that's going to be able to manage a team of this size, assume certain things about our industry, including, and then I listed those things that were non-negotiable. Please look at these 50 potential candidates' resumes and rank them. whom should we interview as like top tier candidates and whom is like maybe a second batch that we should consider if the interview with the top tier don't work, or salary doesn't work, or something else, commute distance, etc. And in doing that, then the candidates that it recommended as the top 5 to interview, David was shocked. He was like, these are excellent. How did you get to such good candidates without sending me like the normal 20 to 30 resumes? And so I told him, well, I've been learning through our experimenting with AI and learning together and learning how to use it effectively. And I kind of did the test without telling him that I had done it, because I wanted to see, does it actually work, right? And it was very effective. From there, I had it develop specific interview questions that David could ask to further gauge their technical expertise. And I also had it create a document where he could rank candidates on different skill sets. Some basic, non-technical, like communication, management of time, others that were like actual technical abilities that we needed for this position. Because after doing 6-7 interviews, well, you forgot what Bob, number 3, was saying about his Java experience. So by having this sort of one pager, he could rate candidates as he was talking to them. And sort of those questions that AI created were helpful in addition to what he already had in mind of asking them.
Right.
So that's one specific example of how for entrepreneurship it has been extremely beneficial. And being able to be an expert in recruiting for technical positions, even though I'm not a technical person.
Right.
That's excellent. That's saving a lot of time, very productive time, use of time, right?
So, Pastor Gov, can I hit on these other 3 here, because they are very important? And I do want to hit on the use and misrepresentation of information, because we are seeing this today. We may not see it as much in America, but we do see the abuse and misrepresentation of information internationally to shape international opinion. I'll give an example of deepfakes. Generative AI has become extremely good at faking people. One example was there was a deepfake of President Barack Obama saying things that he had never stated. And this circulated in the Middle East and in other areas to characterize him and misrepresent President Obama and his position in the US. Now, many of these people that were seeing this video, they were under the control of state media in that country. They had no access to truly know and understand that this was not President Obama speaking. I think we're going to see the use of this more and more in our society. So we need to ensure that we're fact checking our information. We need the Sanders. We need to understand who our journalists are. We need to understand what they're doing. We need to be discerning about the things we see and what we don't see. So I want to just give a warning there. For those of you who have children, for those of you who have teenagers, read this statistic. This is an alarming statistic. And, we may not think of AI being used as this, but many, many people between 2022 and mid of 2025, the number of AI companion apps surged by 700%. There's a particular application that just sold for billions of dollars, has 20 million active users, 20 million. And many of them are under the age of 24. And what is character AI? Character AI creates fake personas of people that you can chat with. So for example, let's say you want to chat with Beyonce. It mimics Beyonce's voice. It mimics who she is, how she would say something. Maybe you want to chat with Spider-Man. This is an area where we really have to be careful. If you have kids, if you have children, you need to be careful and watch out for these things. This is a top app right now on all app stores, and people are going into alternate realities. Their imaginations are being distorted, and their perspective of life is being shaped by synthetic artificial intelligence. So we definitely need to be careful and aware of that. Another example here is, last one I want to talk about, is historical revision and censorship. Remember, we talked about AI models are trained on data. That data is produced by humans. Humans have biases. Humans have agendas. And they've done tests and shown that depending on who's training the model, this is why I recommend Claude, because they produce many great articles about safety. They produce many good articles about ensuring that their models are not used for certain types of things. But an example of this, China produces a lot of AI models. Those are not available here in the US, but in China they're available, and those models are trained to not respond to anything that makes China look negative. It will not respond to certain prompts of information about things in China's history that they do not like. So it's also important for us to understand that when we're using these models, we need to be aware of biases, especially if you're using this in a writing profession, legal, creative writing. There can be biases present and misrepresentation of certain aspects and forms of history. So this is why I say when you prompt, please sometimes tell AI, state your assumptions. Tell it to state its assumptions and its sources so that you can check that. I definitely want to make sure we hit on that point here, because it's important to not blindly trust and believe anything that you see.
Oh, I think that's excellent, especially the emotional attachment that people can have to alternate reality by having these characters or avatars that they begin to engage with. Drive it on in. Do you have another example demo that you want to do for us, or?
So with the last few minutes, why don't we actually take a look at what Claude produced? We're going to see it live with you for the first time. So let's go and see. I mean, is this worth me paying $20 for, or could I have just done a Google search for this?
Absolutely.
So it actually did all of the things, and it produced a document for us. And I love agentic AI because it feels more natural. So for example, it says, hey, here's your Word document. I can view the Word document here right within Claude Cowork, or I can simply just say, hey, let me open this file. Now, the good thing about Safe AI, it's going to ask you, do I have permission to do this? If you're using any AI tool, it says there's a lot out there, and I'm sure people encountered them, you need to be looking for, is it asking you permission to do certain things? So we're going to allow, or we can just look at the document here. I love that. So you can just look at the document here. It's saying, hey, it's even using the colors of national parks.
Mm-hmm.
The
outdoorsy, yeah, feel.
Right. So we just said it's repeating Family 4 from Atlanta, Georgia, prepared for me because I've logged in with my name, and it's giving me a couple of options here. It's telling me where I could potentially fly, rent a car, and it's telling me what is this best for? How do we get there? And here's the estimated cost for round trip tickets. So you can get a sense for your budget. Now, doing all of this yourself is a lot of time and information. Lodging recommendations. I love this. And it's giving you recommendations in different price points. You know, everyone has different price points. And then it gives us a day-by-day itinerary. I love this. Yellowstone Canyons. Maybe you want to visit Jackson Adventures. Here's a couple of hikes. I said that we like to do hikes. These are hikes, and you can take any of these, paste them in Google to see if it's really true. Difficulty, wildlife, park entrance fees, et cetera, et cetera. So here's my budget. And we can see if you want to go premium, you're talking about $10,000. Maybe you want to do mid-range, not quite budget. So, and I've actually found, I've used Claude quite a bit. I found that its budgeting is actually pretty good. And then we can kind of go through and take a look here at Glacier National Park. Now, one of the things you can do with agentic AI, you can say, thank you for this document. Can you clarify these assumptions? Can you produce a better budget? You can even ask it to produce an entirely different document. You can ask it to say, hey, can you use Google Flights to search specific flights? So this is just an example of driving home, leveling up to agentic AI. And this is available for $20. I typically get my $20 of use out of it per month very easily. So I think it's a great use of your time because you not only get Claude Cowork, but you can also still use Claude in your browser.
That's excellent. David, you should never miss an anniversary or a special event. You can plan ahead of time, right? Hint, hint to all of the husbands who don't remember dates and don't sit down to plan, right? Or vice versa. Hey, let's segue into those that may have some skepticism or fear of the loss of their job, and some of the thoughts I guess people may have about being replaced by AI tools or the evolution of technology?
Sure, and I know we just have just a minute left, so I'll be quick. There is no profession that's had fear of job loss more than that of the software engineer because of AI being able to produce code. However, I think it's important to state that this is a real statistic. 90% of jobs require human subjective judgment. Pastors, teachers. AI can present you information, but it can't teach you. As a teacher, you have to have judgment on how a student is developing, how to respond to them. As business leaders, as community leaders, most jobs require judgment. I don't think AI will replace a lot of jobs. I think it will redefine how we work in our jobs, just like the internet did. So I think that we need to be very careful and there's a lot of the business world is putting out these messages. We're firing people because of AI. We're doing this because of AI. But when you do a little bit more research and you dig deeper, they're just simply looking to cut costs.
Yeah.
They're not replacing people with AI. So I don't think that's a grave concern, but what I do think is a concern is how we redefine ourselves to leverage AI smartly and effectively in how we do our work.
I think that's great. Let's extend a few minutes to talk about the hair industry. I think that'll capture the attention of the audience. Talk a little bit about the AI with Black hair.
Okay, so we'll end with this. So can we show a slide here, this deck? So we actually have a couple of, if you want to go back and look at the podcast, you can look up these two individuals. These are Black AI entrepreneurs. And they are doing amazing things in AI. So Miss Candace Mitchell, and we'll show this, she has an Atlanta-based company that is valued at $50 million. And what is she doing? She is using AI to analyze hair texture because it can look at specific things, your type, your condition, and she's recommending personalized hair care products and styles for you. My sister Mariah, I see her in the chat. This might be a service that she would like. So I'm gonna actually go to her website here just to show what that looks like. So My Ivana, this is the website. This is what they do. And if you actually just take a look, you can see what they're doing, how they're merging science, technology, and AI to bring that vision to life. This woman is excellent. I would recommend you look at that video. So what you do is you take your phone, you kind of do a little bit of a scan of your hair, and it can identify your hair type, help you recommend products for you. And at $50 million, many people find this of value. The other example, gentleman, he's using AI to bring legal insights and help people who are underprivileged and don't have access to very expensive lawyers, using AI to just bring them the simple legal counsel and advice that they need, and then connecting them to a lawyer later that's within their price range. So these are two examples of African Americans and Black entrepreneurs who are using AI to level up their businesses and incorporate agentic AI in their businesses.
Awesome. I think that is powerful.
Very powerful.
David, we'll provide for our audience a link for information. I'll put that out later so that they'll be able to have some of those resources. And why don't we let Katherine, you want to give us just a wrap up, and then David, we'll come back to you and let you do the final wrap up.
Sure. I think just real quick, if we can go to the slide that talks about the prompt. I know the first point, I think we recommend just 4 things, that it be specific. And I think that's very important to clearly state what you'd like it to do. Second, provide context, right? So we've talked about that AI can only garner from the information that you've given it, and that's actually how it's trained, based on information. So you have to provide context and background. 3, set some constraints and boundaries, right? So with the trip, we said, our budget is this amount, or I only have this number of days. You can also do that as you're prompting it with other things. And number 4, set a persona. Ask it to adopt a specific role. And I think in this case, it was like a family that really enjoyed the outdoors, but they don't want to be camping and they don't want to be cooking their food over a fire, right? So that's just some examples, but I think that's one thing that we should all remember. Be specific, provide context, set constraints, and set a persona for it to better carry out its research if you can.
Excellent. And then if you write a prompt and you're not getting back what you want, you can keep reprompting until you get the specifics you're looking for, right?
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
Excellent. Excellent. David?
Well, Pastor Glover, if there's one thing I've learned in marriage is sometimes you let your wife have the final word. And I'm going to let her have the final word here.
You're a wise man.
I did not
Well,
learn that from ChatGPT. I learned that from experience.
it has been a pleasure.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you so much. I've been talking to people who are probably baby boomers like myself, and they're very interested in the technology using AI tools, but they're just not sure where to start. So I guess the first thing is don't be afraid. Go out and try one of the free models that's out there and just start learning how to write the prompts to get the information you want, but vet the information to make sure the sources are credible. I'll say this as an activist, one of the things I saw with a couple of the last elections, that there was a lot of propaganda and a lot of disinformation. And it was designed to create a view of different politicians. It was designed to misrepresent some of the platforms, and they target people groups, and Black people, African Americans and Blacks are often targeted by foreign agents with disinformation. So being able to vet your source, even with deep fake, a lot of people like homeopathic methods for health, but there are lots of deep fakes out there that I saw something recently that that mimicked the cardiac Dr. Ben Carson. And I watched a good bit of it. And then when I went, I said, so help me find his source, website, social media that's talking about this. There was no source, but it used the language. Even, he professes to be a Christian. So even his language was modeled. So we do have to be careful, but we shouldn't be afraid and not engage, because then we'll be left behind. So I am deeply appreciative to both of you, David and Katherine, to have you with such wisdom and insight and on the cutting edge of what's happening with technology. I think your lives model the infinite possibilities of what someone can do with discipline and preparedness, and then using technology. And I'd just like to say that we speak blessings over both of you, over Numa, and over your future. May God anoint your purpose, your person, and your path for the days ahead, that you may lead out strong, being a model for the body of Christ. So thank you so much for being here. And I'd like to thank our producer, who's done a great job as well. Katherine, we appreciate you. We're closing out. You have been listening to the WNAVA 2026 Black History Podcast, where we intend and we commit to educating and equipping and empowering you to build forward and to level up. We believe that the children of God should be as relevant as anyone in any cutting edge technology, without fear, but with wisdom and good discretion and discernment. So we hope that you've been illuminated, educated, and you are inspired and fired up. Thank you for joining us. Share our content, share the information with others, examine and explore so you can continue to grow. Thank you for hanging in with us. We went over a little bit, but it's worth it. It's value added to your life. And I want to say, we will be coming back right after Black History, but I'm taking a short break, or maybe a little bit longer than a short break, so we can get ready for fresh content and relevant conversations and teachings and insights for what we're doing and where we're going. We're living in critical times, but we have a God who is in control. And I want you to be encouraged. I want you to be focused, and I want you to keep moving forward, because God has great plans for you as a believer, for me as a believer, and for all that he's given us to do. So thank you so much. Let me share with you David and Katherine's information so that you can go visit their website, numaconsulting.com. Go and take a look at the great things that they're doing and how they're impacting the marketplace as believers and as cutting edge innovators. Thank you again for joining us. We'll be back with fresh content, relevant conversation in the near future. Until then, stay tuned. Follow us, subscribe, like, and share, and make sure to set your notifications so you don't miss a moment. We'll be sharing content when we're not necessarily teaching, so you want to listen out for what's yet to come. God bless you. 2026 Black History Podcast, Rise Up, Erase, Not Happening, Dismissed, Impossible.
We're still standing. We rise in the face of every adversity. We rise to reclaim our dignity. We rise to honor our legends and our leaders. We rise to renew the hope of our people. We rise to lay hold of justice and prosperity. We rise in strength and solidarity. We rise for our children yet to be born. We rise to the glory of our Lord. We rise with a predestined victory. We rise for a better day. We shall not be erased. We rise up.